All right, this lecture is going to be on the process of legislation and regulation. So, in our society, the laws and rules that govern how we live, work, interact with each other, play a huge role in shaping order, promoting fairness, and ensuring the protection of individual rights. So, understanding how these laws come into existence, as well as how they're enforced and regulated, is important to anyone studying, the law of anything. And so, as we go through and learn the different deep dives of the various types of law that impact automated vehicles, it's important to understand how those laws came about and how they are enforced, especially when we start talking about the absence of regulation, why it's not there, or why the legislation or regulation that exists isn't a proper fit for the technology that we have. You'll have a better understanding of what are the constraints and what are the pain points in trying to pass or update legislation and regulation. So we'll start off with the legislative process. So this is, these legislative refers to the laws passed by Congress, so the legislative branch. And this is a structured, complex journey that a proposed law, which is called a bill, and goes through from the initial idea until the final enactment. So we're going to look at the various stages that a bill must pass through, including the introduction, the review, the debate, and the vote, and ultimately executive approval. And we'll also look at who are the key players in this process: the legislators, the committees, the public. Once you have a good feel for how laws are passed by Congress, we'll talk about the next step, because legislation doesn't stop, or regulation doesn't stop with the passing of a law. Once enacted, these laws must be implemented, and that's where regulation comes in. So we'll look at how different government agencies interpret and enforce the laws through regulations, which are the detailed rules and procedures that ensure that a law is applied as intended. These regulations affect nearly every aspect of our daily lives, from workplace safety to environmental protection, and they're incredibly important in automotive law. So by the end of this lecture, I hope you have a clearer understanding of how legislation and regulation happen and how they work together to create a functional legal system. So let's get started.